To whip egg whites for souffle, you need a very clean bowl. I'm using a copper bowl, but you don't need to have a copper bowl. You can use a glass bowl or a stainless steel bowl. And add your egg whites and a pinch of salt. This is mostly just for flavor. And then just start whipping. I have an extra large whisk. Now, the idea is if you have a copper bowl, you don't need to add any cream of tartar. Acid stabilizes egg whites, and a copper bowl is naturally acidic. So if you were going to use glass or stainless steel, add a little bit of cream of tartar, and you would want to do it at this stage, which shows you the egg whites are actually quite frothy, and which means that they're foamy. And then just keep whisking, and you'll see how quickly these egg whites start to mount up. You see they're starting to turn white, but they're not forming any sort of peak at this point. They're still quite liquidy. And we want to just keep beating until we get to something called the soft peak stage. See how the peak kind of curls over itself? It's not really stiff. Now, if you're going to make a dessert, this is the point where you start adding sugar and beating that in until we get a stiff peak. If you're not making a dessert, you just keep beating until you do get a stiff peak. So I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, a little at a time, about 1 tablespoon at a time. And sugar adds a great deal of stability to the whites. But if you're not making a savory dish, then certainly you don't want to add any sugar. If you're making a savory dish. Now you see how nice and fluffy this is getting? Now I want to show you this is still not quite the stiff peak. We're almost there. And you'll also notice that the egg whites have increased in volume. They increase in volume about 7 to 8 times. And you want to have the egg whites at room temperature. Now let's see where we're at. Okay, can you see that? That's like a stiff peak, and I'll show you what it looks like on a regular rubber spatula. See, it holds its shape nicely. I can turn it upside down. The egg whites don't fall off. And we're done. So once you've whipped your whites to a stiff point, they're ready to be folded into your base. And this base happens to be chocolate and butter and egg yolks, and we're going to make a chocolate souffle. So it's a fairly thick mixture, so I'm just going to add some of the whites right to it and stir it in to lighten it. And then you're going to think, but you're beating all the air out of it. But you have to do this. You have to sacrifice some of the air in the whites to lighten this mixture so that when you fold in the rest, you're going to retain as much air as possible. So that's the first step. Then the next thing is to take the remainder of your whites and just pile them right on top. And then once they're all on top, we're ready for the folding action, which takes a lot longer to describe in words than to actually observe. So this is what you need to do. So in the bowl here we have our heavier mixture, the chocolate mixture on the bottom, and these very light egg whites on top. And the idea is just to fold them together. So make a first slice kind of through them with a large spatula, go sideways, bringing up some of the chocolate mixture over the whites. And you see now we're starting to combine the two. We have the chocolate and the whites. Rotate the bowl a little bit, turn again, and just maintain this action. Cut down through the middle, scoop up along the sides, bringing the heavier mixture up over the lighter mixture. And you just keep doing this over and over again. Down through the middle, around the sides, and over. And it's very important just to rotate this bowl, rotate the mixing bowl as you're going along, because this will hasten the process, and ultimately you'll have a very, very homogeneous, meaning even looking mixture of the chocolate and the egg whites. And then this is what we're going to be baking. So just watch this action. Down through the middle, around the sides, and over. Down through the middle, around the sides, and over. Rotating the bowl about a quarter turn each time. And if you notice that the chocolate looks a bit speckled in the whites, that's nothing to be alarmed about, because then you'll have little pieces of chocolate in the souffle, which is always a delight on the tongue. And this is now ready to be put into the souffle molds and put into the oven.